Hey everybody, just ready to do another Miata project. What I have going on here is my shifter. I've noticed that when I'm really going to try to grab gears, it's having trouble making quick transitions. So I got on the forums, read a lot about it, and I've already replaced the motor mounts with Mazda comp mounts. So they're 40% stiffer than stock, but they're still rubber. They're not a polyurethane or solid mounts. The rear differential is usually a culprit of this. The way these cars work is the motor is connected to the transmission, obviously, and the transmission has a tube, or it's like a C channel that runs all the way to the rear differential. So there's not really a cross member in between the two. It's just that C channel runs to the differential. Well, I've replaced the rear differential mounts with polyurethane mounts, 88 diameter from Prothane. Pretty easy install. Unfortunately, I didn't make a video about it. But anyway, so where we're at now is I'm going to go ahead and change the shifter bushing. There's a plastic bushing on the bottom of the shifter itself that is known to deteriorate over time, and my car, having 100,000 miles on it, it's probably well overdue. So what I've gotten is a 5X Racing aluminum bushing. So that should eliminate all the issues that I could have coming from there. And they sell a kit, I believe it's called the Spec Track Kit, and it comes with a new upper and lower boot, which are notorious for getting torn, and you'll lose the turret fluid that you have in the top of the transmission can leak out. That again, not that it's like a high demand thing like the transmission fluid, but it was meant to have fluid in there. It needs to have it in there. So I've gotten this kit, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what my boots look like, and we'll go through the install of the new bushing, the new boots, so you guys can see how to do it on your own. Here's the kit. They ship it to you in this, they send half of it the Postal Service, and half of it they send through FedEx because it's the fluid. They actually send you 2 quarts of the Redline manual transmission fluid, which is the best you can get. Unfortunately, I'd already changed my transmission fluid with the Redline fluid, but now it's been, normally your intervals you want it to be 30,000 miles. I did mine 4,000 miles ago, so I went ahead and changed it. But when you're unboxing this is what you'll see here first. Genuine Mazda parts. This is a lower boot. Go digging around in here. Try not to get these peanuts everywhere. Genuine Mazda upper mount, or upper boot. And here is what you really are looking for. See, again, I said 5X Racing is the company I got it from. This little guy, this little bushing can make a world of difference. We'll look in the car here. I went ahead and took the center console out, which is what you'll have to do. Real simple, straightforward. It's just you got a screw on each side. You got 2 screws that would be here, which are actually in the storage compartment, and 1 that's underneath your switch, your window switches. So here we go. As you can see here, this boot is useless, like completely ruined. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and remove these 4 bolts. That'll take the upper boot off, and then we'll see if the top one looks like this and it has a lot more play than the lower. I can't imagine it's going to be any better. Alright, here's the lower boot removed. As you can see, this center section wasn't attached at all. So what you do is you just take out these 4 bolts, like I had said. There's 10 millimeters, and you'll just be able to slide this. You should be able to do it in one part, but obviously mine's in 2 pieces. So you just slide this up over the shifter after you take the knob off, which you'll have to do to take the center console off anyway. You just twist it, it unscrews. So the 4 10 millimeters takes that upper one off. Now we can take a look at the lower mount, or bushing. Here you go. You can see that this boot is completely torn through, just like the upper. So it's doing no good, which has caused the fluid to probably leak out of this turret area, causing to premature failure of that plastic bushing. You can see here that this is in gear and I still got quite a bit of slop in the shifter, which is usually a good sign. If you're wondering, hey, I wonder if my shifts have been a little too hard and what could be causing it. Well, you can do a test like that. You can put it in gear and wiggle it. If you have that much movement, it's time to take a look at this 5X Racing Spec Track shifter rebuild. So now what you're going to do is just take these three 10mm bolts off. We'll be able to pull this whole turret out and we'll be able to look at the at that bushing. Now that we've got the bolts out, we can just pull it straight up. I got some good news. There's still a little bit of fluid in there. It's kind of hard to see. This is the plastic bushing I was talking about on the bottom. Unfortunately, I mean, it's kind of bad news that the bushing is still intact. So that's not to say that it's not worn. Like I said, over 100,000 mile car, this plastic bushing, I've seen some on the forums that is completely in pieces. This one's not too bad. There's definitely some scoring on the sides, a little bit of pitting here and there, which still can lead to troubled shifts. So now what I'm going to do is get this in the vise and show you guys how to take this bushing off. Now this is my method. There's different ways that I've read online to do this, but what I'm going to do is take a wrench and put it in the vise. The key that you want here is the wrench. You just want to make sure that it's bigger than this ball, so just the bushing sits on it and you're not going to mar up any part of the this ball. Now what you're going to do is take a punch, or I'm going to use a small Phillips screwdriver. You're going to take it and pop it on the top, and that bushing should pop right out. We'll try to set this camera up and show you guys how it comes out. See, just like that, real easy. Here's the bushing, shifter. You can see no didn't get marred up or anything. That's the safest method, I think. If you have a buddy with you, it's a good idea to have them try to catch the shifter when you hit it. Obviously, I just let it hit the ground, but it'll be okay. Now we'll move on to the lower bushing. What you got to do is, everything I read online again says just to cut this old collar off. Do not cut this little nylon collar, just the boot itself. And then what you do is you take the new boot, and this hole looks small, but what you got to do is put some grease on there, and you can actually shove it down all the way over the shifter, and it'll reset in its proper place. So now we're going to cut this off, and like I said, be careful not to cut this nylon bushing right here. And there's a spring. It's a really small little round spring that goes around the top of that keeps pressure against this boot. Don't cut it either. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, get the new one on there, and then we'll move on to pressing this bushing on. Got the new boot on there. Again, like I said, all you got to do is just lubricate this just a little bit, put it over there, push it down. I had a real easy time getting it to this little lip, and then I just used a small flat blade screwdriver to just get a corner of it started, rolled right around, was able to press it down on there. So now what we're going to do is move on to the bushing. This thing looks a lot better than this plastic unit. I mean, I'm excited. So what we'll do is we'll just set it on there. Try to get it as straight as you can. Set it flat on a surface. Make sure not to do it on just something bare. Either do it on a piece of wood or Here you can see I have a rag. Just take the shifter and then tap it a couple good times. It'll pop right down on there. There it is, working good. I'm going to go ahead and spray some lubricant on there. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is put it all back together and see how it works. Now that we're back here in the car with the completed shifter and the new upper mount, again, like I said, this turret is supposed to have fluid in there. So what I'm going to do is take this Redline manual transmission fluid and just pour it in there until it's full. Like I said, this is also included in the kit. Alright, fill it up right to where the bottom of the shifter is going to hit, and that should be good. Of course, you want to drain the fluid that was in there out first, and you can use that with one of these handy tools. It's got a hard plastic end and a pump and a other end that you can use just to pump into an old container. So now we'll go ahead and take the shifter, set it back into place. Might take a little finagling. So that's it, guys. Once you get the shifter seated in there, you just got to make sure that it's straight and that bushing's going right into the receiver. You get it in there straight, go ahead and reverse your disassembly process, and that's it. I mean, hopefully it'll be awesome. Like I said, you can kind of tell when you need it and when you don't. So I'll go ahead and show you now, with the new shifter installed, the play that I have. So if you guys remember before, when I put it into third gear and tried to move it, it had a lot of movement. Now, that's it. I mean, nothing at all. So again, like I said, between that bushing and the torn boots, it had it acting wrong. So you can put it in gear to test it and wiggle it back and forth. If you get any movement, you know that it's probably time to go ahead and do this kit. Again, can't be more happy with the kit. Comes with everything you need. That 2 quarts of fluid is enough to do the transmission and the turret. So like I said, I had already done mine before, but I went ahead and changed it. Changed the fluid, changed this turret fluid and that bushing. I'm so stoked. Thanks for watching, guys.